The secrets behind the gates at 10236 Charing Cross Road are some of the most protected in all of Los Angeles. In fact, security at the Playboy Mansion is so extensive that some believe it is the safest place in the world. A place where you could leave your Rolex in the front seat of your unlocked Ferrari, and it will still be there when you return. So just how does Hugh Hefner keep out thousands of tourists and curiosity seekers who show up uninvited to the gates of the Playboy Mansion in hopes of crashing his very private party?
Mr. Hefner never liked things that were obvious. First thing we had to do was how to get people into the property securely. So at the front gate, when you come in, there's a huge rock. He called it the talking rock. We drilled it, put speakers in it and cameras right around it. So when you came up, you talked to the rock.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing, Ollie?
Is it okay if I come on up?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay, thank you.
We have our perimeter alarms, we have our sound alarms. So anytime anybody touches the fences, we get an alarm, whether it's a sound or a motion. It's a lot of area to cover. We have cameras that watch the inside of the property.
Over the years, many have tried and failed to sneak onto the grounds in hopes of joining the fun at one of Hugh Hefner's very private parties. In November 2010, one man trying to get a glimpse of the good life met an unfortunate end.
We had somebody that was so gung-ho about getting into the party that he tried to come over from the golf course and climbed a tree to see if he could scale the fence that way, and apparently he slipped and fell. He hurt himself bad enough that he passed away before anybody ever discovered that he was there.
We've had people come up in cars and hide in trunks. We find them, they're escorted off the property. We've had people actually try to run the gate. We have all kinds of people just coming up with every excuse, every way they think possible to get into the Playboy Mansion.
Of course, the only legitimate way to get onto the property is by invitation. And perhaps most shocking to first-time visitors is that the mansion is a very buttoned-up place.
Welcome to the Playboy Mansion.
This is a very special club. And if you're fortunate enough to be a member, you behave yourself and you treat other people with respect. One of the things that's wonderful about the Playboy Mansion is that women are in control here. Nobody gets out of line with ladies here, and that gives a freedom.
Misbehaving at the mansion can have severe consequences. In fact, there is an official do not admit or DNA list. But exactly who or even how many are on the list is a secret, and it's a list that only Hugh Hefner can alter.
Some of the people that are on our DNA list are because they've been a little bit too aggressive with some of the girls, and security's gotten a hold of them and escorted them off.
I can't really tell you who's on the list. That would be a breach of security, but it's an extensive list, and there are people that have a lot of notoriety that are on that list.
There was even one occasion in 1983 when a man gained access to the mansion guest list by claiming to be a member of Hefner's own family.
I got a phone call from a woman that I had dated back in 1950s. She called and said that she had a grown son and that I was the father. I actually went and saw him at a school play and came to believe very briefly that he really was a son. In time, he and I took a blood test, and it became clear that he was not my son.
He was put on a DNA list at the time. That was over 20 years ago. We never heard or saw him again.
He was the son of one of my friends who looked something like me. True story, true secret of the Playboy Mansion.
But within the otherwise anything-goes world of Playboy, there are strict rules, especially for the staff.
Obviously, playmates are coming in and out every day. Our job is to make sure that they are comfortable. You know, Mr. Hefner expects them to really experience what the Playboy Mansion is all about. But We are to remember that we are the staff, and we have strict no fraternization rules. This is your workplace. This is not your playground. It's Mr. Hefner's playground.
Oh, yes.
But even Hugh Hefner lives according to a rigid and unaltering schedule. Because he is a late riser, breakfast is served when he calls for it,
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
usually at 11 a.m., followed by soup and crackers at 5:30 and dinner at 10. And all of Hef's meals are served to him in bed,
Thank you.
just the way he likes them.
Hi there.
We have pictures of each meal and how the food is laid out on each plate so that when he has the bed tray presented to him, all the food is just perfectly laid out the way he would like it. So he could be watching a movie and put his hands down on the tray and know exactly what he's grabbing without having to look at his food.
Mr. Hefner's milk is served in an ice-cold glass, kept at all times in one of the mansion's many freezers. And when served potato chips or crackers, they must be carefully hand-selected so that none are broken.
Dress shoes and dress socks in here. Handkerchiefs. 1, 2. Tips, hard sole slippers. Slippers, hard sole.
When the man they call the boss travels, the Playboy Mansion staff knows that every comfort and protection of the mansion must travel with him, right down to the very food he eats.
Sliced cucumber,
broccoli,
fried chicken,
tuna salad,
mashed potatoes,
and a dozen hard-boiled eggs.
I guess you could say he's a creature of habit. He doesn't like change. I respect that he likes what he likes, and that's what our job is, to make sure it happens.
When we go to a Chinese restaurant or Italian or whatever it may be, I still get the same lamb chops and baked potato.
Thank you.
But could there be another, more secret reason for Hugh Hefner's tight grip on everything from the food he eats to the people who have access to him? Perhaps the answer can be found in the fact that when Mr. Hefner travels anywhere, he is closely guarded by highly trained and armed mansion security, a practice started back in the late 1960s following a series of death threats and political assassinations.
I think it was after Lenin was assassinated out on the street that we decided to travel with security. Back in that time frame, Playboy was controversial, and therefore I was controversial. I was definitely on Nixon's enemy list. The FBI had a file on me going back to the early 1950s. And I learned later that Hoover actually had one of his agents read every page of the magazine. Pretty nice gig.